Friday. Our gratitude to all of you for making time out on the weekend in this festive days to be here and a part of this space of learning and growth. Today, we are talking about career transitions and why is it important that they are dealt with differently? Why do we as coaches have to look at career transitions differently? What about all of it is changing? Career transitions today are no longer just about changing organizations, salaries, or designations. They have become journeys of reinvention, shifts in identity, guided by clarity of purpose and anchored in personal values. Our guest this evening, Kavita, she will be sharing her experience through her journey of reflection and growth. After graduating from the prestigious IIM Ahmedabad, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, Kavita has built a rich career spanning experiential learning initiatives to leadership development. She brings over 20 years of experience in corporate leadership, L&D, and 1,500 plus hours of coaching in career transition. She's also a guest faculty at IIMs. In my discussions with Kavita as we were prepping for this session, I began to understand that her coaching approach is deeply rooted in agility, experimentation, and her own reflections. She supports clients in a wide range of scenarios, such as navigating role transitions or role expansions, building grounded clarity, and making purposeful decisions about the next steps. Moving past the feeling of being stuck and unlocking new levels of growth. With this lived experience, Kavita is now all ready to step in as facilitator for a career transition coaching program being offered by Guiding Light Coaching. This is an ICF-approved 20 CCE program specifically designed for coaches who want to become career coaches. Guiding Light's foundation is built on two pillars, coach education and building practice. This program is under the building practice pillar of these two foundations. It is my pleasure to welcome Kavita to this Ask Me Anything session today. And dear audience, I invite you all to lean in with curiosity and openness as she shares her insights and her experience of career transitions and what can be some learning that we as coaches can continue to draw from it. We have a lot of questions which came into us through registrations. I will request you to keep putting your questions into the chat box as well, as and when they come up for you, and we'll be bringing them in to be answered by Kavita. So welcome, Kavita. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much, Saravjot, and such a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you to Guiding Light team, Shrikant, Madhu, Abhirami, and of course, Saravjot. So I'm all ready to, answer your questions, share some of my own experiences. I love talking about experiences when you ask questions, so please bring them on. And yeah.
I understood that because whenever we've spoken, we've taken that question answer format. So one of the first questions, Kavita, which was there on my mind, and I thought that'll be the first one I'll ask. At what point in your journey did transition become a theme?
Yeah. So that, I'll have to share a little bit of my journey and how, therefore, transitions became something which felt very important for me to start working in this space. So I had what you may call a non-linear career far long before the word non-linear gained the kind of, traction that it has gained now. So maybe it was my own inclination and ways of thinking, which in some way I didn't feel very aligned to the linear models of work which existed. And I'm talking about 20 years back. So 25 years almost. So when I graduated from IIM, I got into a typical marketing career, a role in marketing, and I really liked what I was doing. But there was always a desire in me to explore in more the realm of learning. And when I say learning, it was not about skills as such, which are hard skills, which are taught in, colleges. But I felt that, how are we, what is the software on which we are running everything else, which is us, right? So, and it was about this learning both for adults and for children. So in the early stages of my career, I worked a lot with enabling educators because education, I worked in the space of alternative education and how can we equip educators to teach differently, because unless educators, and guiding light is also an example of how you become educators in a space and you do adopt it in a different way. You're not doing what all other coach education providers are doing, coaching providers. So how do you equip educators to do that differently? So I got into alternative education. Then from there, I was also, exploring social entrepreneurship of my own. So there were these multiple things that so for somebody who enjoys different things, there was no one path which the corporate could offer me to indulge in all of these different, curiosity avenues. Okay. So then from the space of alternative education, I also got into the space of working with people. And that was always an area of deep interest, and working with people in the space of deep personal change, which was something which I undertook as a journey for myself. So I went through a very intensive program of what we call the internship in human process work at an institution called Sumeda's Academy for Human Context. And that internship is spread over almost 4 or 5 years. And we participate in labs where we are the subjects of study, right? And our own processes. So that was something which gave me a very, very strong foundation in working with personal change. Okay, so for myself, as we become, in some way our own, we are learning through ourselves, being those subjects ourselves. So that gave me a very strong foundation in personal change. And then I was also in parallel working with learning and development consulting firms, working with in the space of leadership development, managerial effectiveness facilitation. So in some way there were multiple strands. And what was multiple strands, but there was a core narrative which ran through all of this, which was about facilitating personal change, whether it is at an individual level or at a group level, and facilitating personal change at a very deep level, at the level of an identity, not only skills. So skills can also come, but there is also a deeper level of change which is around the identity. So these in each time there was these kinds of shifts which I made. And in between this, there was also a time when I was a full-time stay-at-home mom. So every shift of mine was in some way not just and it was not just about skills. And uh, now in hindsight I can say very neatly that this is what was the core narrative, etc. But when I was doing all of that, I did not have the language to say that this is my core, the thread which is running through all this. So what was happening was that every reinvention required me to in some way reset my identity itself. From from being a person who's you know working in the corporate space to becoming a social entrepreneur, failing at that. So every time there is an identity reset which is in some way happening, which is in also then taking me to this next avatar of whatever it is that I'm going to be doing. And I spent a good part of my 30s doing that. And that is why I'm here today to say that don't spend as long as I did. you can you don't need to spend that much time. Okay. So I would say I spent about 7, 8 years in this process. Okay. And eventually this is the theme which then started holding a lot of significance, that how do I understand the space of transition, what is yet to emerge. Because you in any of these things, I didn't know what is the next step exactly going to be. I had to kind of figure it out for myself. So that in between space is a space of, it can be very fulfilling, but it can also be lonely, it can also be very challenging, because you don't know, you don't have models, you don't have precedents. And then when I started looking and talking to people around me, I realized that yes, Many people do have these, these phases that we are going through, but we don't have a language to process it. And that is how I got interested in this theme of transitions and creating a language to be able to articulate and process this experience.
That's very beautifully said, Kavita. I mean, having a language. And I remember in one of our conversations before today, you mentioned that career transition coaching allows emergence.
Mm.
So, what do you think shifts in a client if I, as a coach, am
Mhm.
like, focusing on this emergence aspect?
Yeah. So when I say emergence, it is because in a career transition, and career transitions are of multiple kinds. Okay. So it can be you are stepping into a leadership role from an IC role. You may be stepping into a different format of work from being a full-time employed person to becoming a consultant or an advisor or so many things. There are, so many aspects to career transition. But the thing about many of these transitions and in this area is that you don't know exactly what is. You don't have a very clear endpoint most often. Okay, so as I said, when I was doing this, I didn't have a clear endpoint that at the end of this I'm going to become a coach. Okay, so that is something which emerged. That is what emerged as a result of me understanding my own very deep levels of what are my what are my aspirations, what are my motivations, how do I really connect with people, what are the places through which I really put my best skills to use, in how do I do that. So these are all the kinds of things which are waiting to emerge. And why is it waiting to emerge? Because if you go only by what you have done in the past, you will continue to do more of the same. Whereas that is what you don't want to do when you are, coming into the space of career transition coaching. I mean, if many of you are already working with clients who are, coming to you for transitions, so you know that your client is saying that I don't want to be exactly this, but what I want to be, I don't know. So we are inside holding space for that emergence, and that is an emergence of identity, of perspectives, of belief. So many different things are happening, and the final outcome that people see is that, okay, somebody changed their job, somebody changed their career, somebody is now doing something very different, but all this has gone on in the background.
So I'm reminded of my own example, Kavita. When I left the corporate world, I was very sure I didn't want to do this job, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And of course, coaching hadn't happened by that time, but I do understand what you're saying, that it's essential, that it's like it has to be treated separately. And that's where emergence happens. So there is this word which I hear very often, and I'm sure you as a career transition coach have also heard: stuck, being stuck, I'm feeling stuck, stuck, stuck. So, what in your experience does keep people stuck?
Hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to this space of especially stuckness in my career, okay, I've observed across so many different kinds of people that I've coached, from 23-year-olds to even 60-year-old people who I've coached, and I've observed two, three different things when people feel stuck. The first is a misalignment, okay, and a misalignment of who you are and what is the role that you are in and what that role expects you to do. Okay, so there is a misalignment. You don't feel energized by that role, and but you don't know. As I said, you're not very clear about where else will I actually be feeling that level of alignment. I need to discover that. Okay, so that's one reason where one of the reasons why you feel stuck. The second is this internal conflict. Okay, and this is perhaps the most, I mean, it's perhaps the hardest to name also, that there is an internal conflict between a fear. There are voices in my head, two of them, which will say that I want to do something new. And then there is this voice which will say, but stay safe, stick to what is familiar. And you cannot, they are not going to say it in such nice ways. They're going to create havoc and create. One day you feel on top of the world about something new that you're trying. The next day you have plunged into despair because you feel that, oh, this is not working out, and everybody else is saying that, what is this, what are you trying to do? So there's a lot of that internal conflict, And it's like that classic, picture of that donkey which has two bundles of hay and it doesn't know which side to go.
Yeah.
That is obviously the reason why it feels stuck. Okay. And the third reason I find is identity lag, which is what I also felt for some time. And what was a personal experience of being stuck when I felt that I had grown, but my context and my environment did not see me in the same way. Okay, so I was working with some of the best consultants in the OD space, in the organization development space, and for a long time I was also in that space of seeing myself as an excellent, supporting person, supporting consultant. I never saw myself for a very long time as somebody who's the lead consultant, until I actually started feeling that inside, which is why I said that identity lag. You start feeling a difference, and then the environment outside you has still not seen that. And therefore, it requires you to push and make that visible in order to get out of that place of stuckness. But so you have to find what is it that is actually inspiring you to push through that and make the environment then see that this is the new version of me.
Yeah, that's sounding very encouraging as I'm listening to you. So Kavita, I think now we should move on to understand what transition is.
Mhm.
If you would like to
Yeah.
bring up your
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So maybe I'll share a bit of this in relation to what this program is going to do for the when we say that this is a structured program around transitions. Why do we need that kind of structure? So I'll pull up a few things to kind of talk about why do we need that structure. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Now, many times we know that transition is this place of in-betweenness. Okay, when we, as I spoke about right now, that things are emerging, things are getting formed, and our narrative is shifting. But the different parts of a transition. Now, this is what I meant as something which I didn't know when I was going through the transitions. Okay, and unless we have hindsight, and that's why I hope to be able to use these experiences to create a better understanding in a structured form. So understanding the why, how, and the what of a transition. What do I mean by that? Most of the times people have these insight, when they're thinking about transition, there are hopes around, okay, how is my life going to look like on the other side? And it's not very clear. Okay, it will be about the emotions that you feel that you will experience on the other side of transition. You will feel that I want to be connected to my purpose, and that's what gives that whole energy around it. Okay, then there are, more often than not, when people come to us and as coaches, they are going to talk about things, their fears. They will say that, oh, I don't know how, should I apply to this kind of a company? There are a lot of rational questions. How will I make my how will my finances work? How will people see me as somebody suited to this particular role or industry, etc.? So there are a lot of these types of questions, and typically this is what people come to us with. Okay, but the trouble is that we also, when we are when, as I said, when I was on the other side of experiencing transition, when we try and answer these questions with enough with the why, then it space of perhaps really not working at the core issue. You can move a little ahead and then come back again. So similarly, the next one, what do I need support with? The nuts and bolts of these. Again, people will say, I need a new resume. I need a new LinkedIn profile. I need to be active on LinkedIn. Then only I will find a new, people will see me, and etc. But these are the things which we have to be able to spot as coaches and take them in a structured way through this, where I didn't know. I was kind of, all over the place. Some days I'm working on the how and the what. Of course, you will still have to do that. But you when you know that, for instance, this is the structure of transitions, and then you're able to support your client. Similarly, what are the triggers for transition, and what the kind that your clients are going through, and how do you respond with the right kind of approaches to help them process and work through these triggers. So external triggers, you know, so many times partners relocate, internal triggers, burnout. What is the approach that you give, and how do you help work through that? External triggers, you want to work a lot with them on this mindset of intentionality. How do they become more intentional about what they need to do, and agility, you know, because there is a lot of overwhelm from the external environment. You'll feel that, oh, we need to find a job quickly, something has happened, etc. So how do you practice this? How do you help them become more intentional, more agile? What are the practices that you can use? Similar internal triggers, how do you respond to those kinds of triggers? How do you develop the resilience? Seeking clarity around self. This is so, so important when we are processing, internal triggers for transitions. These are the kinds of things we are able to understand, and the program will get into far more detail around, how do you coach during, so you can coach for clarity, you can coach you can coach for making decisions, because all of these are requirements in decision coaching, and you have to be able to understand and then tailor your approach to that client's needs. So knowing about these things, approaching it with a sort of a roadmap around it, allows you in some way accept uh, client also, and for ourselves as well. And so these are some of the things which transitions can, we can actually become more clear about how we want to guide our clients through this process. Yeah.
So I just saw one element of practices mentioned on the slides,
Mm-hmm.
Kavita, and I remember you mentioning also when we were talking. So,
Yeah.
what is the role of these practices? And what I'm understanding is that something that the people, clients have to do. So,
Mm.
what are these about, and what as a coach uh, helps support the client when these practices are introduced?
Okay. So when I say practices, for instance, one of the very important practices I found helpful in a transition is asking new questions, new kind of questions. Okay. Uh, Now that's something we feel that, oh, but many times we take these things for granted. We take it for granted that our our clients, or even us, when we are going through a transition, we think that, but ye to I'm doing this. But are you really doing this? Are you really asking new questions in new kinds of places to new kinds of people? Are you getting information which is like what you already have?
Kavita,
Okay.
there's a little lag in your voice. Is
Okay.
that your internet? Yeah, because
I
I
think so.
I just saw some messages in the chat also.
Oh,
People are
okay.
experiencing a little
Not able
break.
to hear me? Okay,
Yeah,
then
now
hold
it's
on.
okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, okay now.
All right.
Okay. And
Hmm.
then, Kavita, we also spoke about, I remember, this tangible and intangible takeaways. That how as a career coach, what am I doing differently from, a regular performance coaching or an organizational coaching that I'm a part of? How is this
Hmm.
different?
Yeah. So performance coaching is like, just to use an analogy, it's like telling a batsman, how can you bat better? Right? Batsman, the coach who's supporting the batsman will tell them, this is the way you're taking your stance, this is how you need to, maybe improve your so and so. Okay. Career transition coaching is telling this batsman that now that your batsman days are over, what else can you do? You know, or so I mean, it's like you don't have those answers. You are not working with what is already known, but you are holding space for what is. So performance coaching, you work with a lot of the existing skill areas for improvement. In career transition coaching, you are in some way pulling together a lot of data which lies in different places, data about the person, data about the environment. So you have to look around yourself also. What is happening in the world of work? What are the places where a person like this might be able to find the right kind of fit for their skills, for their aspirations. So you bring in all of this and you help them to make sense of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the difference, that you are working with a lot of unknowns in this.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then
and
you're,
there will be unknowns because the
yeah,
person
the
themselves
point of
don't
it
know.
is that unknown, that I
Unknown.
want to know what is not known right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for this specific program that you have built, and
Mhm.
Guiding Light will be launching it soon,
Yeah.
what can a coach expect to do differently after they have completed this program?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the, first of all, I would say that why should somebody look at career transition coaching itself is a very important thing to think about, because today almost all of us as coaches, whether even other kinds of coaching, some way or the other, people, it's, I think, it's the most relevant coaching niche right now, because be going through some kind of professional reinvention. It is happening from across career stages. Can you hear me?
Kavita, if it's not too inconvenient, can you shift to a place, because I think your network is giving a little trouble. We are losing
Yeah,
your
can
voice
I
a bit.
try and give me a moment? I'm changing
Yeah,
the
please.
connection.
Yeah, please
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Sorry for the interruption,
No, no,
audience.
no. Sorry, huh? I'll do this.
It's much better than the internet interruption.
Okay, is this better now?
Yes, it
Better?
is. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right.
So,
So,
Kavita, we lost you, I think, when I asked you the question. Then after that, the response was not clear. So,
okay, okay.
yeah.
So I was saying that I think everybody today, including all of us who have probably transitioned out of other kinds of roles into becoming coaches, right? We are in the middle of what we call a Bani world, right? Brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. So this is the world that our clients are also in. And it will require multiple points of reinvention. Okay. And each time the reinvention will have, like, in some way, different kinds of facets to it. So is it about an identity reinvention? Is it about a format, from being a full-time person to being a portfolio worker, to is it going to be women who are in some way returning after maternity? So many different kinds of reinventions. And at every such reinvention, you have to support them in gaining not only the tangible things around the reinvention, which is how do I present my skills, how do I show up and on through my interviews, my resume, my LinkedIn. You are playing a much more vital role in helping them with the intangibles, which is about acquiring clarity, acquiring the confidence, acquiring the hope. It's a, believe me, most of the times, if you can get your clients to experience hope, then the path will open up for themselves. And I think I'll maybe invite one of the people here, Rohit, who's come in here, to add a bit about his experience. So if we can bring in these kinds of things, which is why we need to be able to play at all these levels of working with our clients. For instance, today, if people will say that AI can help you with many of these other kinds of areas. Okay, AI can help you rewrite your resume. AI can help you create a fancy LinkedIn profile, and even all the designs and everything for that. But who is going to support them in getting hope? That is the space which, if you have a deeper understanding of this, of transitions, and the acquire that level of, and that is what I've learned through time. It's not like when I started I had this ability to do this. No, it has come over a period of time to be able to actually understand that all these things are involved. Okay. And therefore, to a program like this is for us to be able to work at the higher levels of supporting our clients, so that we can actually differentiate. Because today there are many more coaches than there were about 7-8 years back also.
Yeah.
And there are also many more people who need coaching. Both things, right?
So it is hope on both ways for the coaches.
There are a lot of people who need this, many more than there were earlier who needed this, because even 10 years back, it was not this kind of, crazy non-linear world. Okay. With AI and everything else, it has become far more complex and non-linear. So there is a tremendous need, and there is also a number of people who want to be able to serve this need. So if we can learn, if we become more equipped with the tools, with the language, with the deeper understanding of what is going on, and that is what we want to address in this program, to bring all of that in one place. Otherwise we are looking for it in multiple places,
Yeah.
and that's what takes a long time. So I did that, and I looked for it in multiple places. Of course, that had its own joy, but but if you want some other joys, then
Then we
then
come for this, register for this program.
then this is you have that is, there is joy and there is pain in that, so a little less pain.
Okay. I think we can invite Rohit to share his experience.
Yeah. Rohit, are you there?
Yes, hi Kavita, hi Saravjot. Am I audible?
Hi.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Hi, great to see you, Rohit.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. So Rohit had a couple of conversations with me when he was last year in a space of figuring out what next. And then yesterday, when I shared this, he said he'd be joining this session. So I'd love, Rohit, if you could, share your experience of your transition and what coaching can do.
So, I quit my banking career back in Jan 22, and so I was already tried two things. Like I've tried two things in pursuit of something that I am as a person and something that will appeal to me, something that I can see myself do till the last breath of that I take. And so I was sure that what I was, as Kavita said, I was sure what I didn't want to do, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I heard Steve Jobs in one of his speeches once say that the only way is you have to keep trying one thing after the other. So I tried first thing, I realized it's not for me. I tried second thing, I realized it's not for me. So the feeling that I had is, before I had a conversation with Kavita, that I've left the shores in pursuit of a utopian island. Whether that island is there or not, am I in a pursuit of something which is not there? So should I return back to my shore? Should I again go back to my job? And but something inside me didn't want to give up. I had that 1% in me that's like, I wish there's some way, I can, somebody tells me that yes, there is a utopian island somewhere there. Please carry on with this journey. And I was just searching the internet and somehow I reached Kavita. I had a conversation with her, and she didn't give me any big solution or something, but what she gave me is that what is the next step I need to take. She gave me clarity on the next step, exact next step. And then I took that, and that step gave me the clarity for the next step. And then it gave me the clarity for the next step, right? But again, as she articulated very well, the hope, right? She gave me hope in that conversation, that short conversation, yet that there is an island out there. Please don't stop your pursuit. And today, look at the island. Today, I am in my coaching journey. I'm trying to become a coach, right? So yeah, that's been my small journey. That what transition coaching. I didn't know the term transition coaching, but I could only know that she's a person who helps people who are in their transition journeys. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Rohit. And from your smile, we can make out how deeply satisfying this whole experience has been for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rohit.
So, Kavita, there were a couple of questions which the audience dropped in when they were registering.
Yeah.
We can bring that up. I have kind of listed them out here. And after that, we can open it up for more questions from the audience. So one question which came up was, what resources are usually needed to tap into for those in transition?
Okay. So first of all, that understand that transition is a space where it is best to not be left alone and not try to be the hero of the entire thing, that I will figure it all out by myself. Okay. That said, you also, the resources which we need and which we don't need. Two things. One which Rohit also said, spoke about what I shouldn't be doing or don't like. Resources which we don't need perhaps as much is the advice of familiar people, of friends and family, who will often give you advice which is going to keep you in the same safe place, well intentioned, because they do not want you to feel perhaps completely lost. And that is a part of transition, is this U curve of transition, where you will actually first feel much worse before getting better. Okay, the third day of your antibiotics course is perhaps when you feel the worst, and then you start getting better. Okay, so that is how it is. And so resources that we need are finding the right kind of people who can support us. So coaching, of course, coaching is a brilliant way to get that. If we are able to seek the support of a coach, who we feel safe and with, have the right trust in that coach, then that's a wonderful resource. The second, I would say, is resources are, your own past networks, people who are a little distant from you also. In fact, a little more distant from you. These are the kinds of people from whom you want to bring in new ideas. If you start hanging out with people who are a little distant from you, you will hear things which you haven't been hearing, which is very important to help you move forward. Okay, so that's another resource. The third thing is this, of course, asking questions. So resources around mindsets that we have. Can I be more intentional in asking questions? How do I, of course, finding people, new people to ask these kinds of questions to. Yeah, and I think one very important practice thing which I have found, which is very important in transitions, is to also work with the body. Okay. So you really want, transition is a space of in betweenness. Okay. And stuckness. I mean, before that is a place of stuckness. And to get out of that, it cannot be entirely a mind and intellectual exercise. It has to also be felt. In fact, the body can often lead the way. So this is again something which I have discovered through my own experience of first picking up yoga in my early part of my first perhaps major reinvention after being a stay-at-home mom, to getting back into the space of into the professional space, and continued that practice. Again, for different clients also, I have found that when a body-led practice is supporting them in their transition, people have taken up things like cycling, like swimming, all kinds of things, that immediately shifts the way that you will become more receptive to untangling, moving forward.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning when we were talking before the session that when you are using the body, it's like you're taking action. It's like progress. So there's a step forward, and that kind of untangles what is there in the mind. Okay, the next question I have is, what are some best practices as career transition coaches that can become enablers for the client? I think you've answered it probably in a way, uh, all of this
Yeah.
body work. Anything else to add as well? I'll move on to the next one.
No, best practices, I would say, is okay. One more best practice is finding, of course, with a diverse group of advisors. But if you find in some way a person whose advice you can trust, advice means not only, not giving you the solution, as Rohit said, but in that case, then, then actually surrender in faith to that, whatever you have heard and picked up as a direction from that person. Because if we don't do that, we can always, from our own rational mind, keep coming up with all kinds of other ways to not take that action. Okay, so a best practice is that once you feel at an instinctual level that there is something which somebody with whom I've been, sharing my journey of transition, and there is a direction that that person is in some way pointing me towards, then take that, at least that first next step in that direction. After that, the next step will come after that, as Rohit said, but take that first next step.
I think that is actually the tough part, taking the first next step.
Yeah.
What is the role mindset plays?
I think pretty much a big part of it is the mindset. But see, we can't come in with a prepared mindset. That is okay. I don't think we all come in knowing exactly what changes need to be made to the mindset, etc. That is all. That will get in some way. You will discover that. But I think if I feel that there is one big mindset which helps, it is that of trust and in some way, faith. You can call it trust, faith, um, surrender if you can allow yourself to that place, bring yourself into that place. But trust and faith, and trust and faith in the process. I think if we that is where a big part of our role as coaches is to help them understand that this is not you. You are not going through this journey for the first time in the history of humanity. All of us are going through it, have gone through at some point or the other. As I said, I was talking to you, I said, that there was a time when I was at a very low point in this, in my own journeys. And I don't know what, someday I used to, yeah, I remember why I must have had this influence on me, because it was a time when my son was also quite chotu, and I used to read a lot of these stories out to him, epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and all that. I would read it out aloud to him when he was about 7 or 8, and that was also the time when all this churn was happening. And then one fine day it occurred to me, and you have these dialogues in your head saying that, oh, why did I give this up? I had this opportunity to have, you will always compare and say that, oh, my peers are over there, or I could have done this and all. So those were dialogues which are probably going on in my mind. And pata nahi from where I got this thought one day that look at what these epics, these, the characters, like for whom we consider our gods, are, like Ram. The period of exile is a complete obliteration of your identity and all the privilege that you came in with. Okay. Same thing in the Mahabharata also, that the Pandavas going through this Agyatvas is literally an obliteration of your identity, and a recreation of that by taking in certain things from there, and then giving it a new form. In the last 13th year of the 14th year is actually when you come in with in a new form. What have you actually done? You have taken all of that, manifested it in a new avatar. Yeah. So that is what is, we give hope by in some way knowing this reality for ourselves, and that our clients need to know that, and everybody who comes in thinks that ye mere sath hi ho raha hai. I am the only one who is so miserable. I am the only one who is having all these, doubts and fears, and it is natural, completely natural for them to feel like that. For us to also having gone through that process of feeling like that. And somewhere, without actually giving gyan like this, but somewhere they also realize that, this is a journey which is happening to all of us, and something better lies on the other side.
This was a beautiful example. I remember this example. I think this is going to be my takeaway from the session. I think it's time now. It's 7:18. So let's throw the ball into the court of the audience and ask, make it open for them to share, ask questions.
Yeah.
And if possible, come on video.
Yes, Jason.
Thank you for that talk. It resonated a lot. I heard you mention that honoring like the somatic journey is important. And sometimes you can get because it's the message that your body is giving is hard to decipher. It's not words, it's not what you know. How do you distinguish between like a message that you're supposed to hear versus a message that is not meant for you, the distinction between that intangible that is offered.
So you are going through a transition and you're saying that the body is giving you signals. Yeah. And how do you differentiate between the signals, the message that you need to hear and the message that you need to ignore?
Because you also mentioned that the rational mind kind of gets in the way sometimes. So how do you distinguish between the rational and the intuitive in the process of transition?
Okay. So the rational will typically come up with objections. It will come up with questions, and it will oftentimes come up with the same question in different ways. Okay. The same kind of questions and beliefs will come up in if you listen very deeply, where you will find that it is the same belief or it is the same kind of thought, which is now a different language it is coming out. Okay. But the body signals don't tend to be the same. When you're in this, even in the coaching session itself, you will observe that the body signals don't tend to be the same. And sometimes there is language which is different, whereas the body is looking different. Yeah. So that's a little bit of how I see the difference, Samir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ravi. Hi.
Hey, Kavita, thanks for the session. My question is not about transition, it's about the program. What
Yes.
is that I would expect
Mhm.
to get at the end of this program? Let me give you a little bit of background where I'm coming from. Many career coaching, and I want to establish myself as a career coach, and I am just have taken a few steps at the moment. And most of the people that I have talked to so far have been talking to me about what next. Definitely, hope is one part of it, but there's a lot more than that, right? They want to know what next, how do they decide what career move they want to do. Everybody is in, they want to make a quick transition. They expect the coach to, guide them through this process and get to a stage where they transition sooner than later, right? So as a coach, at the end of this program, what do I get? How will you equip me to help them with this transition?
Yeah. Great question. Yeah. So let me talk about some different parts of the program and how it can help you. Okay. So the first parts of the program is for us to be able to understand the structure of transitions itself, and therefore to be able to, when I say structure, it is the inner landscape of your clients. It is those, what is it exactly that you are coaching in this particular client? What kind of mindsets are you, trying to coach? Is it and emotions are you trying to coach? So getting a very, in some way, becoming very intuitive about picking those up through a lot of discussions of case studies of real examples. Because as I said, I've coached maybe 250 people or so plus in one-on-one settings, and then in group settings, and ranging from early career to people who are 60 plus and in there. Now, when I say looking at these wide spectrum of people, and therefore understanding intuitively what are the needs of the different clients, how do you take them, support them. The other thing is for you to be able to understand which is the area that I should be working in. Now, even within career coaching itself, okay, for you to understand based on your preferences, your skills as a coach. Different, all of us here, even in the space of career coaching, may have very clear preferences of how we want to work. Yeah, I think Rohit was asking me this question a couple of days back, that should I work with what is the niche should I be working with. Now, in that, this is also something which we understand through this program, that where am I likely to be able to support my clients the most effectively? Is it going to be in mid-career transitions? Is it going to be in burnout recovery? Because my own experiences make a lot of difference to how I approach coaching, and how much, and therefore how am I able to inspire that trust in the others. So today, if I go to people and say that I can coach you on, even in career coaching also, I can say that there is a part of it which will say that I will coach you for higher salaries and promotions. I cannot do that because I have no experience or no lived experience of being able to support people myself, and therefore I cannot support. Okay. Now, like that, this program is going to help you to get deeply in touch with your own skills and your own preferences, so that you are then able to get to the exact space where you are going to be able to inspire trust in people to pick you as their coach. Otherwise, this is the thing which takes the longest time for us to figure out. And then another part of this program's the way that I'm designing it is, once you identify that, for you to be able to know how is it exactly through resources, I mean, like, even your scripting of how do I talk about what is my offering. Okay. To be able to then get to the market to say that this is what I will serve. These are the kinds of people that I want to serve. Okay. This is the part which I have been able to now figure out for myself in the last, say, couple of years, as to how do I reach the right kind of people who are then going to be able to appreciate the kind of coaching which I am able to provide. Okay. So that, and how do I tailor my communication and to be able to get those people to really understand what is my offer? How do I make a difference to them? So these are some of the things which this program can really help you to figure out your niche, figure out your communication strategy, be very clear on what are your skills in coaching, which people can then relate in and work with you for.
So, are you saying this, that this program will help? I know I want to be a career coach, but you are trying to, what I heard you say is that I will understand which part of the career transition will I be able to, and how do I market myself for that?
Definitely.
That's what this program is about. Or does this
That-
program also has some additional tools, resources that I can leverage in the next step? Knowing what I want to do is one thing, and knowing how to do that is another thing. So are you telling me what are you going to focus on
both
in
of
this?
these, knowing what I want to do through a process of knowing how is it that I do. Okay. It's in the other way. It happens in the other direction, not first telling you that this is what you want to do, but knowing how it is that you do certain things, then to be able to say that, hey, this is what I have to do. Okay. So resources are varied resources. For instance, you can also go to the web, internet, become certified in a number of tools. All of that is already available. But how do I the biggest challenge is not that I don't have the right, inventories, and I don't have the right assessments to use with my client. It is about saying that how does the client know that I am the best person for the kind of area that I'm going to coach them on? And it can even be about saying that, I have a certain, to really own that. So for instance, if you come from a certain context of maybe IT or whatever it is, what is the way in which you approach your coaching? There will be differences. We can all be ICF certified, but irrespective of that, our coaching is informed by our past experiences. And how do you leverage that?
Okay, thank you, Kavita. I hope at the end of this session you'll give some kind of a program leaflet that we can
Yeah,
further
we will be sharing
read
that
through
with
and
you.
decide.
And the program will be, the program brochure is almost ready. We will be sharing it with you. And we will launch this in November, third week of
Okay,
November.
thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Shraddha, will come to you. There's a question in the chat also from Sabha. How do I measure whether I'm making progress in my transition?
in your own transition or as a coach?
Sabha, can you come on video and ask?
Hi, Sabha.
You're
You're
muted.
on mute.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kavita. So my question is, it's about me as a person and me as a coach, because we are all we are all in this transition. Is it like from home to another, from job to job, from country to country? So we are always in this transition. And I know today is just about career. So if I am now a coach and I'm transitioning, and I know I am fully aware that is I'm going through this transition, and I know there is a lot of unknown, and I just need some, assurance that I am on the right path. So what is that progress? Positive progress will tell me like, calm down, trust the process. You are transitioning and you are progressing very well.
Okay. So one of them is how, do you have more energy than you've had before? That is a very clear indicator. Okay. Out of 5 days, do you feel energized on, 4 days out of 5, as opposed to say 1 day out of 5 that you were feeling earlier, even if it is maybe, 2 days out of 5, that is a measure of movement. And a lot of this is, so first of all, it will be energy, it will be experienced in your body. It will also be experienced in you finding that you are expressing, I mean, your skill, whatever you are applying, okay, as new skills that you're applying, you are getting some kind of validation that this is working. You're getting, for instance, when I'll tell you, when I started coaching, for the first year that I coached, I had perhaps one client. Really, in the entire first year that I coached, there was only one client that I worked with. Okay. Now, did that mean that I should feel that I am not making progress because it's only one client? No, it was 1 against 0 before that. Okay. And then after that, in the second year, I think I felt that I had more confidence in the content of what I'm in my content of my coaching itself. That one client, the kind of feedback which he gave me, not about my coaching, but I could see the progress that the client is making. Okay, so that is validation that your skills have made a difference. So that one client, I don't think I went from 1 to 10 also in the second year. I don't remember, but knowing that that one client is definitely making progress gives me a sense of validation that something has worked. And I need to keep doing this as much as I can with newer people, and I will get better at this.
Thank you very much. So I'll need to look for validations outside myself.
Also,
And
definitely.
yeah, plus the energy level.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Shraddha, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Saravjot. It was really nice, Kavita, listening to you. I have 2 questions, and if you have time, you can answer them both, or whatever you want to choose. The first one is that whether you have ever experienced someone coming to you, because normally transition is more like a push-pull thing. You are running away from something, you are going towards something. So someone has come to you thinking that they need some transition, and as a result of your coaching, they have realized that they are at the place where they actually want to be. So something like that. And my second question is, career transition coach, what more or less of a career transition coach does than a normal coach that makes them a career transition coach?
Okay. What does a career transition coach do more or less of than other kinds of coaches?
Than other kind of coaches, yes.
Other kinds of coaches. So as I said, a career transition coach is actually supporting them across different aspects of their life in emerging allowing their skills to emerge, giving them, so that obviously when a person who comes to you and finds that they eventually get into something new, whether it is a new job, a new format of work, etc. That is the final tangible outcome. But what does a career transition do differently from other coaches? You are working at, I would say, this place of emergence, which is very different from perhaps many other areas where a lot more is known and you're working with what is known and enhancing that. But in career transition coaching, you're working a lot more with unknown and surfacing it. You are helping them articulate what is actually unarticulated. You are helping them see what is not seen right now.
Thank you.
Okay, we are at 7:35. If there are no more questions, we would like to thank all of you for taking out time once again. And thank you, Kavita, for all the knowledge sharing and, of course, your lived experience. Before we go, would you just like to show them the snapshot of the
Yeah.
brochure?
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah, definitely. I might not be able to see my. Ah. So these are the main modules. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Program structure and core modules.
Yeah. So it is going to cover 20 hours of your coach CCE hours. And the way that this is structured is through these, modules. So understanding the terrain of career transitions, as I said, working with their inner landscape, okay, which is to do a lot with understanding their beliefs, their motivations, their aspirations, all of that. Skills, strengths, and stories. This is a very critical part of career transition coaching, to be able to help them name what their skills are and differentiate between core skills, transferable skills, motivated skills. We talk about a lot about this in the program, because what tends to happen is that people see their skills from a lot from the perspective of the last few jobs held. But there are many other skills which, when we look at their overall life experiences and learn to pull all of that, as I said, data about the person, then we are able to see a lot more of these nuances in what are the skills which are waiting to be expressed. And therefore, you can use that to be able to help find new opportunities, new kinds of pathways for them. So this is a very important part of how we will do this. And there are clear frameworks around surfacing these skills, using storytelling, also formats of stories, which are very important to help your clients see what are the kinds of stories which, how do they want to talk about their journey until now, because this is a big struggle area for clients, that they don't have the language to say that I have, or how do I build confidence that I haven't done these things before, but how do I want to do them. So this is a place where you help them see their skills, which are not yet perhaps seen as much, and use stories in the right way to bring confidence to their and structure to their narrative. Possibilities and experiments. Again, this is a place where you have to help your clients to take those new next steps, like Rohit was talking about, what and develop a clear understanding of what will feel like a possible next step, and how can you help your clients to structure it in a safe way, but at the same time challenge them to take that next step. So creating these possibilities and experiments for your clients and supporting them to take actions through that. And through then shifting mindsets and coaching resistance, because this is the biggest thing. Just the other day I got a message from one of my clients saying, I've started doing certain things, but then there are times when I go back to my past patterns. So how do you hold them in this journey, support them to navigate this resistance, and what do you do then? Frameworks to help them converge. Too much of all the divergence is also not very helpful, because eventually you have to help them choose among options. So how do you give them so there are structured ways to help them converge on, use decision making frameworks, use tools to be able to bring it all together. For instance, one of the things, I don't know how many of you have worked with this, I use an instrument called learning styles inventory, which is very, very useful when people want to understand how do I pick the right kind of environment. So understand how to use these kinds of tools. Then, of course, there is storytelling and branding and your own. So, and as I said, running through all of this will also be the work on you identifying your niche by going through these different kinds of areas and knowing that this is how I tend to be at my best in supporting clients, and therefore these are the kinds of clients I should be working with. Yeah. So this is what the program is expected you will take away from this program. Confidence, toolkits, a lot of case studies, role plays, experiences of different kinds of clients, and how do you help them through that. And of course, a pathway for your own niche. How do you grow your own niche?
Thank you, Kavita. I think that was very descriptive. And once again, thank you to all of you for joining in. More details about the program will be shared as we come closer. As Kavita shared, we will be launching this program somewhere in early November.
In November, by the third week of November. So
By the
dates
third
will
week
follow
of
very-
yeah.
Yeah.
So the details will be shared soon. Thank you and happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.